All right, so we're off to a good start. We've got our soda can in place and the ground plane shadows are all turned off. So now we're ready to go ahead and start building the label art. We're going to do that by going into the 3D panel, and you're going to go down here to the main soda object, just marked soda. And below that, you're going to see two material layers, one for label material and the other for cap material. We're concentrating on the label material right now, so go ahead and select that. Jump over to the properties panel, and you're going to go up to the very top to the diffuse property, and then click on the menu here and choose edit texture. And what that's going to do is open up a new document that is the label art basically laid out flat. Now this is where I like to have both of my documents available so that I can see them at the same time. I'm referring to the application frame video I talk about in the beginning of the course, where I'm managing my workspace by being able to see both my panels at the same time by using floating documents. So you'll see I'm going to position my can layer so I can see it. It's going to narrow the size of the window here so all I need to see is the can for the moment. And here is my label art. So like I said, basically think of this as the face of the can laid out flat inside of a document. Now the wireframe that you see inside of the document here is actually managed here in the properties panel. If I bring that up, you'll notice down here at the bottom it says UV overlays. You can go over here and change the color of this grid depending on the background you're working on, and also manage its opacity so you can see it better. Now the grid indicates certain positions on the 3D object itself, in this case the soda can. The open area in the center is of course the main face of the can itself, and up here at the top where the lines get a little bunched up right up here, those indicate the bends of the 3D can here at the top and at the bottom. Of course, we go down to the bottom, you can see a little bit of the grid lines bunched up there. Those indicate those changes to the object itself. So that is what those grid lines mean. So this is the base art. So you'll see that it's got a transparent background because no art's been applied. It's just got this default gray on it. So we're going to begin by laying down a base color. Now, in this case, we're going to do a base gradient, a two-tone gradient. So we're going to start by going and selecting the gradient tool here in the toolbar. Go up to the options bar and click on the gradient strip here to open up the gradient editor. And you want to go ahead and choose the very first of the presets here, which is the foreground to background gradient. And then go ahead and click OK. Now we want to change the color. We don't want it to be the default black and white, so I'm going to click on the foreground color swatch to open up the color picker. Over here, I have a yellow color that I'm going to use. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this in my swatches panel, and you can see the settings for this particular yellow color here in the color picker. So go ahead and set that, click OK. I'm going to click on the background color swatch and now apply a red color, very deep red color, as you can see right here, using these settings here. Go ahead and click OK. So now you can see in my toolbar, the foreground and background color swatches are now the yellow and blue, or yellow and red that I've created. It's indicated also up here in the options bar, the gradient strip showing me the gradient that's going from yellow to red. So here on this layer in the document, I'm going to start kind of in the middle, toward the top here, hold down the Shift key and drag down toward the bottom. That's going to apply the gradient to that document. Now if I press Command or Control S to save this particular change, notice what happens to the soda can 3D. It actually updated with the new art on there. And it's falling in place just as you would expect it to, as indicated by the grid lines here. So that's looking really good. So that's the base color. Now we're going to add a abstract texture on top of this. Now I'm going to go up here to the File menu, go to Open, and we're going to go to the assets for this particular project, and you want to locate a file called Abstract Wave, and go ahead and click Open. Now I like the way this wave has got these varying tones and such in here, but not so much the color. I don't really need the color information at all, to be honest. So before we bring it into our design, let's go into the Image menu to Adjustments and just simply choose Desaturate. Or you can just simply press Shift-Command-U or Shift-Control-U if you're on Windows. And once you do that, we're going to go ahead and grab the Move tool, and let's just drag and drop this abstract wave into our label art image. So I'm just going to hold down the Shift key so it lands in the center, grab the image and drag it over. And let's go ahead and minimize the original. There we go. So now we've got this wavy image here in our label art, and I want to blend it with that background gradient. So over in the layers panel, we're going to go over here and change the blend mode of this layer from normal to hard light. And you'll see that that changes the blending of it with the background there. Now I need to mask some of the area because this area where it's white is a little too harsh, and the black area is a little too harsh on the background as well. So over here in the layers panel, let's start by dropping the opacity of the layer just a little bit. So I'm going to highlight opacity and just set that to 90%. And then we're going to add a layer mask to this layer just by going down to the bottom of the layers panel here and clicking the layer mask icon. Adds a reveal all layer mask as indicated by being filled with white. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab that gradient tool once again, but this time we're going to change the gradient type. I'm going to go up to the options bar, click on that menu, and then this time we're going to choose the second gradient, which is the foreground to transparent. And once you have that, make sure that black is set as your foreground color. If it's not, just press D, then X. And make sure we're using a linear gradient like before. And then right up here in the image, I'm going to start here on the edge of the black area, hold down the Shift key and just drag it in to give me a little bit of a fade. And I'm going to go over here on the other side where the white area is and give it a bigger fade because I want to get rid of more of that area, and that's going to help it blend in like that. So that's all we did. We just added a fade on both sides of this wavy abstract image, changed the blend mode to hard light, and dropped the opacity of that layer to about 90%. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and save the changes, and there we can see now our 3D can is really starting to come together. So we've got the label art started. In the next clip, we're going to go ahead and add the text and a few more elements to make this a little bit more realistic.